The original Boktai turned out to be a solid action-adventure game with a unique twist. It required the use of sunlight, which affected many of the game's battles and puzzles. The sequel plays out quite a bit differently, with some new features and many more difficult puzzles, though it looks similar and offers a rewarding experience in its own right. In Boktai 2, you return as Django, a vampire hunter traveling with a sunflower companion named Otenko. In the town of San Miguel, you discover something called the Undeadening that's threatening the land. Immortals are lurking nearby, regaining their energies so that they may cast the world into shadow. So now it's up to Django to go out and banish them. As in the first Boktai, the main purpose of playing in the sunlight in Boktai 2 is to provide Django with energy for his attacks. The brighter and stronger the sunlight that's hitting the game's small solar sensor, the more quickly Django will recover his energy, provided he's standing outside in the game. Even in interior sequences, the world of the game sometimes changes dynamically depending on whether you're playing in the light. A real-time clock further adds to the complexity, as some presence of foes and their behavior changes depending on the time of day. Sunlight is strictly necessary to perform the purification ritual required to finally defeat one of the game's main bosses, and it's also required for certain puzzles. In general, sunlight plays an even more important role here than in the previous game. The melee combat in Boktai 2 is decent but not great. It's one of the changes since the original game in which you had to use a gun most of the time, but here you'll get to use swords, spears, and hammers, though none of these types of attacks look or feel entirely satisfying. Django has to stand still while attacking, and the game's isometric viewpoint can make lining up your attacks a little cumbersome at times. Boktai 2 also now features more role-playing elements, starting with an experience point system and the ability to level up and customize your character's stats. This helps give incentive to keep fighting monsters rather than retreat away from them. A hefty portion of the gameplay in Boktai 2 will revolve around solving rather difficult puzzles. Many of the puzzles involve pushing blocks around into their proper destinations and things like that. However, it's not all straightforward. There are some variations on the common themes, often requiring the various use of your melee weapons themselves and also different elemental charges on those weapons. The different combinations of weapons and enchantments will let you do such things as throw switches from afar, melt solid blocks of ice, smash wooden crates, kill evil weeds, things like that. All in all, Boktai 2's puzzles can be surprisingly complex even from the start, and they can sometimes be even a little frustrating, especially when sunlight is the key to getting past them. You might just need to call it a day at certain times if you've played into the evening. Boktai 2 has a few other additions to gameplay not found in the original. The solar forging process, for example, lets you upgrade your weapons or make new ones by combining what you've found. Now that you can carry multiple weapons at a time, there's a quick selection process for switching between them on the fly. Despite all the differences though, the core of Boktai 2's gameplay remains much the same as the original. Your goal is to hunt down the Immortals one by fighting and puzzle solving your way through their domains, and then defeating the Immortals on their home turf. Once they're defeated, they're sealed in a coffin, which Django must drag back to San Miguel to purify these fiends once and for all. Dragging back the bad guys actually isn't as much of a drag as it sounds like, since inevitably you'll need to take a slightly different path back to town, and the coffins are integrated into some additional puzzle solving. Boktai 2 is longer than the first game in part because it effectively limits how much progress you can make in a day, but also in part because its puzzles can stump you. The game also has a bunch of optional areas to explore, where you can level up and find better weapons and armor. Like the original, Boktai 2 integrates sunlight into the gameplay in a way that's much more innovative than gimmicky. There are plenty of solid action, puzzle, and role-playing elements here, so if anything, Boktai 2's requirement for sunlight is sooner a deterrent than anything else. Nevertheless, Boktai 2 stands as a unique experience that's sufficiently different from the first game to make it seem fresh and interesting all over again.